Sydney, have you watched the new movie He's All That on Netflix?
I have, and it was interesting to say the least.
That's what I heard. Well, Ryan and Timo recently watched the movie as well and decided to make a review. So let's hear what they thought of it.
Hey, sneak peekers. For me, life in the past month has been dominated by one thing. Not school, no, but instead god-awful romantic comedies made exclusively for Netflix that feel as if they were commissioned straight out of Wattpad. That's why, of course, nothing enticed me more than the sweet pleasure of this genre embodied in He's All That.
The film follows Paget, played by TikTok star Addison Rae, in her narrative film debut. Because why not? She makes a bet that she can take the most loserly guy in high school and turn him into the prom king, and per genre conventions, learns a little heartfelt lessons along the way. Actually, speaking of, we are just about to get ready for prom ourselves if you maybe wanted to, I don't know, come along with us, hear a couple of thoughts about the film. Yeah? Alright, cool. You're in for a treat. Timo's in desperate need of a makeover.
The first thing to talk about in any film is obviously the story, but in this way, He's All That is an exception. First, of course, because the story is poorly copy and pasted from the original film, 1999's She's All That, which is admittedly much better. But also because the most notable new content in this version is random product placements. Half the dialogue contains pointless brand name drops which are completely unnecessary. I personally am very against product placement.
This film depended on solid performances to sell the tired story, but Addison Rae's delivery of some of the most emotional lines in the film were as dry as, say, my mouth before a refreshing can of Coca-Cola. It's good. This isn't all Addison's fault, admittedly. Patch's characterization is very shallow. Despite the film's lazy attempts to convince us of her depth, it's all surface level. We never get to unearth new things about Paget because everything we need to know, even her emotional core, is shown in the first 5 minutes. It feels like we're forced to like her because of her actions, but we never feel invested in her as a character.
That's not to say that all the characters are bad. One standout is Bryn, the love interest's little sister. She actually does get an emotional beat towards the climax of the film. She's a really great character, you know, with good head on her shoulders.
Speaking of...
Additionally, we would be remiss if we did not mention that Kourtney Kardashian is in this film. And although it is so obvious that her scenes were shot in one day, it's just bizarre enough to still be somewhat interesting. We also have some repeat actors from the original She's All That, the best being Matthew Lillard, who plays a high school principal. Any Matthew Lillard in any film is great, and so in a film like this, he is an oasis of talent and charisma amidst a desert of mostly bland and uninspiring performances.
You ready? We can't let this review end without talking about some of the filmmaking choices. He's All That is so dedicated to replicating TikTok culture that the whole film looks like it was shot on an iPhone. And don't get me started about the huge amount of awful, poorly done green screen scenes for the most trivial locations. If you're gonna have a boring background, why not shoot on location? Credit to where credit is due though. The film did shoot on location when it shut down Union Station, a huge major COVID testing site in downtown LA during the height of the pandemic, for a scene that could have taken place literally anywhere. I think I'm about ready. Timo?
Obviously, we're not exactly the target audience for He's All That. And while I can say without a doubt that I hated it, I had a really fun time watching this film. Call me crazy, but I do get a lot of enjoyment out of yelling at the ridiculousness of what's happening on screen. But that does not excuse just how terrible this gigantic advertisement for TikTok is. So He's All That gets a 0 out of 5 stars from me.
Listen, this was a bad movie and I won't argue otherwise, but it was a lot of fun and I am a Matthew Lillard fan. So respectfully, I'll give it half a star. Anyways, that's all from us. Thanks so much for watching, and now back to the hosts.
Thanks for that, guys. The big takeaway I'm getting from the review is that I probably shouldn't waste my time watching the movie.
If you can stand watching Addison Rae's acting for an hour and a half minutes, check it out. Otherwise, skip it.